On Monday, something really, really interesting happened in Texas. Now, for people who are following, the Texas Senate race looks like the best/worst Republican primary in the country. Depends on which side you're on. It had been incumbent Senator Republican John Cornyn against state attorney general and sort of MAGA figure Ken Paxton. Paxton had been ahead for much of the race. Cornyn had started to close that margin with a massive amount of spending over the summer on TV ads. Okay, so the Cornyn people were starting to feel better, which meant national Republicans were starting to feel better about the race because it's broadly seen as Paxton, who's very controversial, very public divorce from his wife. He has been in and out of legal trouble for years. Sound like anyone else you know? There are concerns that he might not be able to win a general election. Then on Monday, Wesley Hunt, an African-American congressman from the Houston area, got into the race, which had been rumored, but I had always been suspicious of because it seems like Hunt would not want to do that because it would jam up establishment chances. But Hunt sees opportunity. He thinks Paxton and Cornyn fighting and he can shoot the gap. But here's why it really matters. Well, so now you have three candidates in the race, which means, most importantly, that Texas has a runoff law, which means if no one gets 50% of the vote in the primary, they have a 2.5 month long runoff. Now, this is problematic for Republicans trying to keep the Texas Senate seat for two reasons. Okay, reason one, it's another 2.5 months of a race. And it's now very likely because Hunt isn't going to win, I don't think. But let's say he gets 10 or 12%. It becomes very hard for Cornyn or Paxton to get over 50%. So a runoff becomes much more likely. And then you have 2.5 more months of spending and bashing each other, whichever two get through, which are probably Paxton and Cornyn. Okay, that's one. Two, Paxton has a much better chance of winning in a runoff, I think, than in a straight primary. Runoffs tend to reward candidates with the most loyal bases, and Paxton's base is very loyal. Runoffs tend to have lower turnout. It's just a thing, right? Primaries a big day in the state. Everybody knows about it. The runoff, less races make it to a runoff. There's just less attention paid to it. So Paxton in a one-on-one runoff with Cornyn, I think probably has a better chance of winning. And honestly, I thought Paxton might win the primary anyway before Hunt got in, but probably has a better chance of beating Cornyn than just in a straight up primary race. It's a turnout affair. It's the base of the base who vote in runoffs. And those are the people who are most supportive of Ken Paxton, which is a problem if you are the Republican Party who is concerned about winning elections in the general election and not spending massive amounts of money to do so. Because let's say Paxton is the nominee. I'm not saying he can't win, but I do think that it would require significant spending by the national party to help him get over the finish line, because Democrats have real people in this race, right? Colin Allred, congressman from the Dallas area, he lost to Ted Cruz by 8 points in 2024. He is back in running. State Rep James Talarico, who is a gigantic national star at this point, sort of the young, fresh face. He's already in the race. He's raising lots of money. So Democrats are going to have, whether it's Allred or Talarico, Democrats are going to have a real candidate, right? They're going to have a real person who can take advantage if Paxton can't win those kind of country club establishment mainline Republicans if he's the nominee. And the momentum was clearly moving toward Cornyn in this race. That momentum stops. And now we have to recalibrate and see how much of the vote Hunt can get. Does he stay in the race the whole time? If he does, and if he gets double digits, it's almost certainly going to a runoff. And a runoff helps Ken Paxton, and that hurts the Republican Party and helps the Democratic Party in the state. And remember, Texas isn't a cheap date. Huge state, lots of media markets, tens of millions of dollars in order to influence a race there. And that's tens of millions that can't be spent in other places on offense. It has to be spent on defense if Paxton is the nominee. So this race just got a whole lot more interesting and a whole lot more problematic for Republicans like Senate Majority Leader John Thune, focused on trying to keep their Senate majority come 2026. All right, I ask you to do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. You get free content every single day like this, and I continue to grow as an independent content creator. And yes, those mountains behind me are real. Hello from Lake Tahoe, California. All right, everybody, take care.